It started with a wine glass sliding across my deck like it had a mind of its own. One of Miranda's guests laughed nervously, probably blaming the Chardonnay. But then the whole table began to drift phones, cheese boards, chairs, and someone actually asked, "Why are the stars moving?" That's when Miranda stood barefoot in the center of my rotating platform and shouted into the night, "Who built this thing?" I was inside, sipping jasmine tea with a smirk, watching from the security feed. "Oh, Miranda," I muttered. "You just stepped onto something you can't control." 6 hours earlier, my day had started peacefully, the way I designed my life to be after retiring from decades in advanced robotics. While most men my age took up golf, I built. My pride and joy sat quietly behind my hilltop home, a solar-powered, fully automated rotating deck that turned 15 degrees every hour. It gave me panoramic views of the lake, woods, and mountains without me moving a muscle. Quiet. Private. Until Miranda moved in 3 months ago. Her arrival was a spectacle. A moving truck stuffed with Victorian furniture and louder opinions. Within a week, she declared herself interim HOA president. Apparently, the last one had escaped to Arizona. Miranda walked around like she was scouting a safari, clipboard in hand, tagging violations like endangered species. Wind chimes noise hazard, solar panels visual pollution, garden gnomes cultural contamination. She didn't knock on doors. She banged with the back of her pen like she was issuing a court summons. I'd avoided her successfully until the day I left town for a 2-day robotics convention. I wasn't even out of the county when I got a motion alert. Something triggered the deck sensors. At first, I thought it was wildlife or a misdelivery. I checked the cameras and nearly choked on my vending machine granola bar. There she was, Miranda, hosting a full-blown cocktail party on my deck, complete with guests, Bluetooth speakers, and charcuterie. She'd broken in using what looked like an emergency fire access key and was standing on what she declared to be a community scenic platform. Never mind that the property was clearly marked private on all HOA records. What she didn't know or care to understand was that after 9 p.m., the deck rotated to a final night alignment, a slow turn toward the eastern ravine. Breathtaking, yes, but at the wrong angle. It looked like the edge of the earth. From my office, I hit record on all cameras and texted my neighbor Grant. He confirmed it. Miranda had told everyone I was hoarding a public bluff and that she was liberating the view. By the time I got home, the deck was mid-rotation. The lake view was gone. Only shadows and tree lines loomed behind the clinking champagne glasses. One of her guests noticed first. "Didn't that tree used to be over there?" he mumbled. Then a phone slid off a table. A woman squealed, diving after it. Another man tried catching a rolling wine bottle. Miranda, ever the authority, waved a hand and said, "Relax, it's just settling. These modern homes are weird." But when someone asked, "Wade, is this part of the HOA?" her smile flickered. "Of course it is. He's just one of those cranky old guys who hates sharing." Inside, I leaned closer to the screen. They were almost fully rotated toward the bluff's edge. My system was safe, structurally sound. But panic? Panic doesn't care about engineering specs. Miranda grabbed a chair, shoved it to the rim, and shouted, "No one panic. We just need to redistribute the weight. It's physics." Her voice cracked as the deck clicked another degree. Someone cried. Another Googled how to jump off a moving deck safely. I sipped my tea and pressed the emergency stop switch. Everything froze. Music cut. Lights dimmed to a soft blue. On screen, they stood like statues. Miranda was pale. I flipped on the spotlights. She flinched. One of her guests whispered, "This isn't HOA property, is it?" As they stumbled off my lawn, Miranda hissed, "He can't just build amusement rides on a shared bluff." Someone muttered, "Pretty sure this isn't shared anything." Another said, "That was awesome, but never again." The next morning, the HOA email digest arrived. Alongside the usual complaints was a list of 12 official grievances filed by Miranda against me. Claims ranged from unauthorized spinning structure to emotional trauma caused by architectural deception. She even blamed me for her dog's alleged anxiety, despite the fact that her dog wasn't even at the party. But I welcomed the challenge. At the HOA hearing, Miranda arrived like she was suing a Fortune 500 company blazer. Pearls, a folder labeled evidence. She opened with dramatic claims of betrayal, trauma, and property value decline. When it was my turn, I simply said, Let the footage speak. The video of her yelling, "Redistribute the weight," got laughs. One board member asked, "Miranda, what were you thinking?" Her face crumbled. But Miranda didn't retreat. She doubled down. Propaganda flyers appeared around the neighborhood. Stop the spin. She hosted info sessions at her home, playing distorted footage of the deck rotating out of context, warning of rotational brainwashing. But it backfired. Grant posted time-lapse footage online. Someone set it to circus music. It went viral. The spiral of entitlement, they called it. Then came the sabotage attempt. At 2 a.m., my motion sensors triggered. Miranda, dressed in black, was sneaking around with hedge clippers and a crowbar. She poked under the motor housing, unaware I'd installed tamper detection. Lights blasted on. A pre-recorded voice played. Unauthorized presence detected. This deck rotates, so might your reputation. She fell back, stunned, just as deputies arrived. Miranda was issued a formal trespass warning. The HOA posted a statement affirming the deck's legality. But Miranda kept spinning her own story. She filed another lawsuit, this time for rotational harassment. Claimed the deck caused existential dread. The judge, the same one who dismissed her first case, asked me, "Is it true she tried to cut the motor with gardening shears?" I nodded. He dismissed it in under 5 minutes and ordered her to pay legal fees. Her influence collapsed. Her lawn withered. She stepped down from the HOA and became a suburban ghost. I upgraded the deck, again biometric sensors, retractable barriers, a custom voice alert my niece recorded. This deck rotates, trespass at your own discretion. Miranda attempted one last stunt with a megaphone, shouting, "Real homes don't spin." But the only ones watching were teenagers who uploaded the meltdown for laughs. Eventually, her house went up for sale. A young couple moved in. Friendly, curious, unaware. When they asked, "Does that thing really move?" I smiled and said, "Only if you deserve it." And as the deck turned slowly into the sunset, I finally had what I'd built it for: peace. And just enough spin to keep things interesting.